What's up, folks? We're back again this week, and it is June 30th, and it's our June 30th review of Impact on AXS TV. Of course, by now you know who I am, but of course, by now you should definitely know who she is because she's been here each and every week, Miss Miranda Morales.
Hello, everyone.
So we got so much to talk about today. I don't even know how to get into things, but I think it's safe to say, as per calculations and finger counting, that we are 18 days and 19 nights away.
Yes, we had to do those calculations.
We got it right.
I did that. You're actually used his brain. I used old-fashioned finger calculator.
Whatever gets the job done. Gets the job done. But yes, till July 18th, which is Slammiversary, all roads are leading there. And as much as it's already just the big pay-per-view by statute and just by historical factors and ramifications, this one's just going to be just as crazy because COVID is a big thing, but not just that. Like, the world of professional wrestling has been on a rumble, and each and every week is something. I mean, for the most part, Impact has been making a lot of additions on their rosters, but recently a lot of dismissals, future endeavors, and termination of contracts that's happening. So we knew that this week was going to be very important to kind of see how things are going to shift, what are going to be some of the responses to things, and just a lot to talk about. But before we even get to any of that stuff, we have to talk about the abrupt ending of tonight's show, that with the main event with Trey and Madman Fulton, which we'll circle back to. Once again, we got another MCU after the credit scene, in which this time looks like we're hinting at, again, another returning person, and this time it's end up being Super Eric. Now, I'm not really familiar with this gimmick or persona of Eric Young, but based on the impact moment of the week of showing Eric Young beat Magnus, who's known as Nick Aldis, for the TNA Heavyweight Championship, I kind of was figuring how is that going to work out based on what happened last week with Aces and Eights and so on. So it looks like that could be a thing that's going to happen. I'm curious of how and why they want to take this approach, but nonetheless, it looks like, again, that this is the cards that they're playing. They're going to be playing each and every week, and it's exciting because I love the speculation and the buzz and everything that's creating hype that's leading to July 18th. So it's all working in my book on that notion. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, you talk about having this, MCU moment of the night, and they really did do that with tonight's final scene of, showing a cape with the letter E and hinting at Super Eric, which was different than the Eric Young that we saw during the match of the night. And so it does leave for speculation, not only if we're going to see Eric Young, but which Eric Young is going to enter Slammiversary. And that's actually a fun play to not only wonder who it's going to be, but what persona this may be. I really enjoy having these final credits. It makes you want to tune in to the very last moments of each episode. And it's a very smart move on their part as they're leading up to Slammiversary. And yeah, I would like, me personally, to see Eric Young, the Eric Young that we've really come to know and love, who beat Magnus for the TNA World Championship. However, if they have an interesting plan for Super Eric, or we may see both, we may see Eric Young in one match and Super Eric in another. The fact that we can even speculate about this makes the road to Slammiversary that much more fun.
Can't argue with that one. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting and exciting. And whatever they can do to create buzz, man. I mean, you kind of said it before, and I didn't give you my response, but like when it comes down to controversy, drama, or just any type of issue or situation that's going with Impact, they really figure out ways to really make the best of it. I mean, the Sami Callihan thing that happened about 2 years ago, I think now, with Eddie Edwards. I mean, it was he's a dirty wrestler, blah 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 blah. But man, did he create buzz, and then his career, Sami career, took off. And I think in these moments, I think there's a lot of trust instilled with this promotion to be able to really show resilience for the year. I mean, to be honest, the company is built on resilience. So
yeah, people really undervalued Impact's tenure, and how the company has evolved. So I know right now in the world, but especially in pro wrestling, times are tough. I mean, this company has shown time and time again that they can really survive those tough times.
Yeah. So I got faith on that note for sure. But as far as how they're going to introduce some of these people returning or back, whatever gimmick they're going to use, I'm definitely just invested. July 18th, that Saturday night, it's going to be one hell of a night for professional wrestling, for not just for Impact, but for professional wrestling. But yeah, kind of pivoting back to what I said in the beginning, Tessa Blanchard contract was terminated. It was reported on their website. It's a thing. It's not a rumor. It's a legit thing. And tonight was just a solidification that they're moving forward. We haven't seen her since obviously before the COVID struck. So whenever that was, I think we've seen maybe one promo of her during the borders being up and travel limitations, and whatever it may be. She's out of the company and they have to move forward. So that took that five-way. Main event that was going to be for Slammiversary, and you vacate the title, and then other news came about, which ultimately has Michael Elgin. I'm not even sure, to be honest. I'm not sure if I read it officially.
That language is really unique. So at first they mentioned that he was suspended, and then they followed up that announcement stating that he was no longer going to be on seen on Impact Television. Right. So it sounds like the suspension is still upheld, but also that any pre-recorded material or any type of appearances that he previously made prior to the suspension were going to be cut. But there hasn't been any follow-up to the follow-up as his status outside of the suspension. But they made it obvious tonight that he was not going to be included in this the Impact World Championship match.
Yeah, right. So that changed a 5-way to a 4-way to a 4-way with a mystery partner. Yeah. A mystery opponent. So, more speculation to be made here, and good for them, because the intrigue is back. So again, it's good to see them move forward in the way that they need to, making a proper adjustment to the roster and showing resilience once again. And with that being said, other news came about, which also was officially announced on their Twitter page, that a number one contenders knockout gauntlet match was going to happen at Slammiversary, which was interesting about that because that displayed every single person that was on their roster, on their knockouts division, eligible to wrestle. Tennille Dashwood wasn't a name that I saw in that, but I believe she's still on the roster. And also that doesn't, I guess as of right now, it's not leaving room for anybody who may return that night. So in the world of speculation and stuff, I'm intrigued here because I'm definitely intrigued to see who are they ready to kind of take that next step forward on the knockouts division. There's a lot of good cases that can be made, but I think what's really important is that they're focusing on who's ready now and not letting it and not handling it the same way as the main event picture. We're bringing in somebody else. So I just like how there's two different dynamics going on here, and nonetheless, it's just creating a lot of chatter and conversations. And I think right now that's just it's just a positivity that that the wrestling community needs, because when fans are able to be invested and able to have discussions about it, whether it be podcasts, whatever it may be, I think they're doing a good job of working it on all avenues: social media, the weekly show, additional content, so on. So I'm just, again, I cannot stress July 18th. I'm thoroughly excited and I cannot wait.
Yeah, and I love how the Knockouts Gauntlet match really is an opportunity for them to display the full length of that roster. We've talked about it in previous shows where the Knockouts roster is really one of the crown jewels of the company. They have just a really great depth, diversity of different skills, strengths, personalities, all of that in one roster. And so to be able to have a gauntlet match to display display that, I think it's a fantastic utilization of the roster, and also just probably time. It is a pretty stacked card already, so to give the knockouts an outlet for all of them to have some of that airtime, but also again to show that it is pretty much one of the best rosters out in professional wrestling right now. I think it's a fantastic way of doing it, and it does show just a different way of being able to highlight their roster compared to what the men are doing in the four-way now and other matches that they've already announced. It gets me excited for it, and I hope really it also hopefully ensures that match gets the airtime it deserves during Slammiversary.
Yeah, and might I add too, it also is a good way to create other storylines coming from it. Some people that you may not have automatically getting them being able to bump. This is an opportunity to do so. So I'm looking forward to that. And then lastly, in the world of news, because it's just news on news this week, there's something we've been talking about a lot, which we have not been totally invested in, and that's the tag team division. And this week, it's been rumored that Gallows and Anderson deal is pretty much done. Now we typically just do reviews of the show, don't really cover the rumors and stuff like that. So I would have left this out, but until during the show, Scott D'Amore planted that seed that there's a spot for some good brothers on here, and we know who they're talking about. So whether it be true or not, this is the bolt of energy that this tag team division needs.
Look, I think we've all kind of agreed with the North when they're saying that they haven't been challenged enough. They've really gone through everyone in the roster. And so to even tease the idea of some good brothers coming in, I mean, come on, like that, it absolutely would give the tag team division the jolt that it really needs, the challenge that the North is looking for. And I know you'll allude to it in a little bit, because I know you're not super excited about the setup for the tag team belts for Slammiversary. And I can understand that, because, you know, you have such a core, good, excellent team, pretty much the cornerstone, one of the other crown jewels of Impact Wrestling right now with the North, and not really a sturdy tag team division to back that up for them to defend it. So if you can bring in some people like the Good Brothers to not only challenge them to revitalize the tag team division, I mean, Impact will be really hard to stop.
Yeah, please talk me off a cliff. That's all I'm saying. Talk me off a cliff.
It's just to get, it's just for now. It's not forever. But yeah, I mean, you should just go ahead and talk about it, because
okay. So anyway, again, this is the first time ever watching our review. Again, we're not going to break down the entire card. We just like to talk about the things that really stood out for us. The big highlights and the things you definitely want to see. But it was just so much news this week. We just had to just make sure we got a lot of that covered. But yeah, last week I said that Johnny Swinger was my MVP of the show because he's just so goddamn entertaining. Yes. This week it's just no different. And although the first match of the card was Chris Bay with Johnny Swinger versus Johnny Swinger daddy, shall I say, versus Suicide, it was all about Johnny Swinger to me. And I just think that what he's doing is creating another spark of entertainment to what's already entertaining in Chris Bay. This match was whatever for me, but I'm so invested in Johnny Swinger that I had to make sure that I brought this up first, because I definitely want to talk about locker room talk. But like, Johnny Swinger has just been a must-watch TV for Impact Wrestling each and every week.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure what this partnership with Chris Bay was going to look like, because they seem so polar opposite, with Johnny Swinger just being so kind of dramatic in everything that he does, and outrageous and outlandish, and just so talkative, while Chris Bay, I mean, he has the finesse, he has the confidence, but it's a little just a bit more quiet, and he lets his work in the ring do the talking. So to have a mouthpiece like Johnny there, and it also shows that Chris Bay knows exactly where he's at. It also shows that Chris Bay Trey is fully taking advantage of Johnny Swinger being so invested in him, to allow him to get wins, to allow him to get closer to the X Division championship. And that's a smart move on Chris Bey. Like, it shows that he's really strategic, and it doesn't care, like, whoever he has to use to get to where he needs to go, he's going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I am not talking about anything tag team wrestling for the night, just to be clear, because I know there was a Reno Scum match, but yeah, whatever. But yes, locker room talk, which I think is where I want to go at next. Yeah, because although locker room talk tonight was the special guest with Johnny Bravo and his relationship with Rosemary, the swing man. Also was revealed that he's going to be banned from ringside with Chris Bey for the Slammiversary match against wow, I can't think of his name.
Against Willie Mack.
Willie Mack, thank you. And because I'm upset with that, because I just need more Johnny Swinger.
I know, you're like, automatically that's cut from your viewing of Slammiversary. Like, you'll watch it, but you're not gonna watch that match.
But now I get more and more weeks of him like trying to finagle his way back in there, so I'm cool with that, you know. But the other thing I wanted to really talk about that is that Rosemary and Taya seem to have formed together a tag team, and I just realized we haven't seen Rosemary in the ring in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So not sure if there's an injury of some sort, or they just had to figure out a way to get her back implemented into it. But I am excited to see her back around. I think she's one of the best. I've been fully investing in her character for a while. I love the things that she's done in the past, in particular with Su Yung. But yeah, I thought that was notable. It was notable to say that they formed a tag team, which means that they must be getting ready to queue her up for a match. And with everything that's happening right now on the Knockouts roster, and although she's been on each and every episode with her vignettes, remember that she has tangled up with some of these new people that's been in there. So I'm excited to kind of see how that's intertwined. I think tag team wrestling is a good way to massage her in good, maybe shake off some ring rust, whatever it may be. Maybe she had her own personal reasons she wanted to get back in the ring, but it's just good to see her getting back involved and working next to Taya. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So
no.
I thought that was really a little interesting tidbit that maybe people might have overlooked for the week. But I kept saying, I don't want to talk about tag team wrestling tonight, but I guess I got to talk about this. But
we just got to, because I do feel like you have, justification as to why this is not your favorite part of the night.
Yeah, so I love the North. Let it be known.
Yes,
also,
the North.
So yeah, okay. So the North had to come out to address the Ken Shamrock attack, whatever. Also, Ethan Page outfit is a clear add to cart for me.
Yes.
I need
Masterpiece.
Yes,
he's a champion and a fashionista. I mean, that's.
So they had to address Ken Shamrock attack, and Ken Shamrock comes out, and then Sami Callihan comes out, and then he says, "An enemy is my enemy," or something. I don't know. He said something that I was just like, first of all, I love Sami Callihan. Let it be known, but seeing him come out next to Ken Shamrock, I just started cringing because I was like, "Oh my god, here we go!" And then I was like, "Oh, they're going to become a tag team," and then I was like, "Okay, cool, just book it for tonight or next week, whatever it may be. Yeah. Please don't book it for Slammiversary." And bada bing, bada boom, they booked this match for Slammiversary, and I am cringing with the question of why would you waste the North, one of the best tag teams out there, on a tag team that you just throw together when you can legitimately do something special here? You know what I mean? I'm not a big fan of teams that's just like you and you team. I'm just not a fan of that. I love teams that are established tag teams.
Very true. No, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. The Impact Tag division is a little depleted right now. We don't have a lot of just good core teams, and that's just of people who have come and go with the company. And where they're at right now is they just don't have any strong tag teams or teams that they pretty much, the North has already gone through everyone already. So I mean, I can see why they are teaming Sami and Ken Shamrock. It's one of those strange dynamics. I feel like it is, though, a way to put more Sami over as a face now than anything else, which I think it is accomplishing. But, it's going to just be another step in the road, I think, to get to something else bigger. Who knows? It could be some brothers along the way. They may show up one day. Who knows? But, at the same time, what else are they supposed to do? I'm really not sure what else in the tag division can they really do that they haven't done already.
So this is just, passing by the time till they're able to get some, when people are able to bypass their the non-complete causes and can appear. I guess, I don't know. I mean, I'll be patient. I just did the whole thing just gave me.
I know.
Yeah, I was just.
It's like they knew this is really going to make Nigeria mad. We're just going to book it.
Okay. Musa. Nah, but yeah. But anyway, like I said, then it's just a matter of patience, and I got faith that it'll work out because I legitimately want to see a threat, as the North has been saying each and every week they have not had a real legit challenge, and so bringing a legit challenge, bringing one of the best tag teams in the world, it's a perfect match. Bringing in a good brother.
Oh man, that I think it's the one people didn't know that they wanted, but now that it's so close in their grasp, it's just shut up and take my money.
Yeah, it also is like, I remember when they first signed to WWE, and I was just like, the tag team division needed it, and how they revitalized it too. I think they're going to do a good job, and I think that just shows just the professionalism of them. They can go anywhere, work, and they bring energy to it. So I'm very excited for that to be confirmed. And July 18th against Refs is going to be amazing. Okay,
yeah, who knows?
Talking about things I look forward to for the night, Moose and Crazy Steve. Now, I was excited about this because it was obviously, how are they going to rework Crazy Steve after what happened last week, canceling his match, and then they had that back scene segment, and they ended up getting him a match with Moose. And then considering what they've been doing with Moose has just been facing and challenging ex-TNA roster folks. So it just makes sense that it's Crazy Steve facing him. It's just a good match on paper regardless. So it's just all of the right reasons why I wanted this match to happen. But number one, I gotta say, Moose is so damn entertaining. I am going to throw this to you. Explain to me, what do you see as far as Moose's gimmick? What's the explanation of it?
Like now, currently, because he's living this in his own world of being the TNA heavyweight champion and just not even pushing, just like dragging people into this narrative that he is the champion, and it's a true championship. It's an active championship, and every conversation, every promo, everything he does is to pull people in to help that narrative, to push that narrative. And it's truly fascinating because I think it's working. And for every one person who maybe doubts him or diminishes the fact that he's this, maybe defunct champion, he just pushes and proves that it's still real to him, damn it.
Yeah, and regardless of real or fake, he puts on good quality matches. The vignettes and the promos with it are so fitting. And I'm a believer. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I buy it. And I, regardless of week to week, I just been more and more invested into it. So he's working the damn mic like no other. His entrance is just flawless. It's never disappointing. It's
getting even better now. Like just the lighting, the robes, the dynamic when he's walking into the ring, and even pushing, the referee and the ring announcer every time he's in that ring to make the championship announcement. It's really just adding to the formality. Like, again, he's building this narrative and pushing it out, and it's absolutely working for him in the best ways.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss if I didn't say the Black Lives Matter tribute to Fist Up in the beginning of it. We see you. I think that's a really dope thing that he did, that everyone's showing their support for something that's really positive that's happening, and being able to be in a promotion that allows you to speak towards your to your beliefs and to things that you represent. I think it's powerful, and that's not to be taken for granted, because everyone's not allowed to do that, as we know with the NFL and so forth. So it's just really good to be able to see that not only are people invested in signing with this company because of creative and character control, but it also means personal branding and so on control. So I thought that was really dope that he was able to do that as well. But moving forward to what was a solid match already, the end of the match. So last week we got the EC3 little tease with his music dropping. This week we didn't get anything, but that didn't mean that nothing happened, because Moose sent what was apparent that he sent the message to former TNA champions. But that just didn't sit well with Tommy Dreamer, because Tommy Dreamer came out and put a promo out there for what it's worth. To you, what did the promo do for you? Like, what did you make of that? Because like that felt, I don't know how I felt about it, honestly, but I know there's something to be made here.
Yeah, I mean, the content of Tommy Dreamer's promo was really attacking Moose as someone who just fell into wrestling, who is naturally talented and gifted as an athlete, but doesn't have the heart and passion for it. And that's why he, wasn't getting the results he wanted. So that's why he claimed this vacant belt, because he couldn't earn one on his own. So I do feel like it's a bit of this maybe old school mentality that Tommy Dreamer is projecting onto this scenario, but it also again continues to build that narrative of Moose confronting TNA originals, and we've seen it now every single week, and I actually think it's done really beautifully every week. Even though the chapter is done with Crazzy Steve, there's someone else that comes along and now continues this feud with Moose, and they're going to keep on doing this till we get to Slammiversary, and maybe eventually someone shuts him up, who knows. But the way that they were able to tie in the ending of this week's match with Crazzy Steve and start a new story with Tommy Dreamer is one of the more seamless ways of storytelling that I've seen anyone in pro wrestling do, and I really appreciate that. But I do think that they were trying to, maybe just an old school mentality, taking some digs at Moose.
Yeah, definitely some good writing going on here, and they're doing a good job knowing that, hey, the pay-per-view is not tomorrow, it's not next week. We got a couple of weeks to go, and I think they're doing a good job of making sure that each and every week you have something you can be invested into or create a little bit of chatter about. So I'm digging that. Yeah, old school, I think it's an amazing word and a characterism of what was being done with that. So yeah, each and every week, we have to talk about Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz.
Yes.
And Kiera Hogan faced Havok, accompanied by Neveah, obviously, and because they're just much-watch TV, we know that. But this week felt a little different. I felt like the chatter was gone. The energy was a little bit turned down, but the business was turned up. I am wondering, and you can tell me what you think, is there like a little bit of a, I'm not going to say tension, but is there like maybe a little bit of urgency that's going on through this roster now, knowing that, hey, the top spots in both avenues are open, and that maybe people are wanting to create, or not wanting to create, but maybe more people are just a little bit more business centric and just getting the job done by any means? Because it's not to say that they haven't, even though they were partying, having fun, and so on. But this time it just felt like this was a little bit more objective into their attack and everything. I mean, they came out, they worked the match, they, collaborated together to get the job done, however, by any means, over Havok, and they were out of there. It was like boom, 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 and we're done. Is there something to be made here is what I'm getting at?
I would say yes and no. So part of me thinks some of that happened was because there was a pretty big size difference between Kiera Hogan and Havok. And so maybe they came in very deliberately because they knew they had to have a strategy in Kiera's match versus Havok. They couldn't be playing games because one, Havok is definitely a pro, and two, there is a pretty big difference in size and wrestling style that maybe they realized they had to be a little bit more strategic in the match. However, I do think that that's probably an underlying aspect within all of Impact Wrestling now. Some spots are now open on both on the men's and women's side. So people's approaches to matches may be a little different, whether they want to be more business oriented or more flamboyant. Maybe they want to take up more TV time. Maybe they want to get more noticed. Who knows? But I would think that that's in the back of everybody's mind right now. Things are changing at Impact Wrestling, and you can either be caught up with those changes, then be part of the changes, then be part of the movement, or you can get left behind. And nobody wants to be left behind.
That is well said. I am right with you on that. Okay, so the last thing I really talk about this week is the main event. That's Madman Fulton versus Trey. Trey finally learned how to walk and stand on his own two feet, because the last 3 weeks we've seen him, he was slumped over somewhere.
Poor boy, man. You could tell he was just itching to get in there to get some revenge. He was not happy. Jimmy Jacobs interviewed him before the match, and he was not there to play. He was dead set on not only taking on Madman Fulton, but Ace Austin.
Yeah. Madman Fulton, man. Talk about a year he's having, from not being able to get any wins to main event in 2 nights in a row. Becoming a main legit threat. The character is becoming more sinister. I'm just excited. The thing is, like, I'm a fan and I'm excited about the possibilities, but now I'm also looking like I'm trying to pick from a kickball team and I'm still waiting. Where is he going to land for Slammiversary? Because I need something that's going to make sense here. I need something. Like, I'm to the point now where it's like, this one is critical for me as a fan. I really want his match booking to be really pivotal to this growth and development in his character and his career. And I can't stress enough, with so many people having to step up and new opportunities coming about, I have to see this happen for him. It just has to happen.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They've done a great job over the past 2 weeks of building him up as a legitimate threat, but also as this bodyguardish, type of dynamic with Ace Austin. And really, that's what Madman Fulton's doing now. Is he's taking the brunt of the force that Ace Austin would be taking now going into Slammiversary, pretty much the biggest match of his entire career, but also building himself up as a legitimate monster, a true monster of Impact Wrestling. And so I agree that whatever match that's set up for him at Slammiversary really needs to continue that momentum. And I even teased with you, who knows who that fourth person may be. It could happen to be Madman Fulton, since he's going to be around. But I do see, it's probably more likely that he'll continue to be more of a factor for Ace Austin. And probably his involvement in that match is only meant to help protect and even the odds for Ace Austin, which it truly has. He is not the underdog in this by any means. If anything, right now, he is probably the best shot. You have Trey Miguel, who, finished this night's match by disqualification with, using Ace Austin's cane and a chair. Like, you could tell he had enough, but still pretty much the pure underdog going into this match. Eddie Edwards, the continuous underdog in Impact Wrestling, not so much the underdog going into this match, but it's still going to be an uphill climb for both of these men when you have Ace Austin who has Madman Fulton by his side. It's so hard to beat those odds, and he truly does look like the favorite going into Slammiversary.
Is it too early to give a prediction who you think that person is legitimately going to be?
Ooh, that's such a hard question. Because you could really pull from anywhere. You really could. You have within the Impact roster that's already there. And then, of course, what they've been advertising for weeks. It could be anyone in the world of pro wrestling that has, that isn't contractually obligated to a company now. It really could be anybody.
Well, we'll see. I don't know, man. I think it's got to be somebody big. It's got to be somebody that makes sense. It's got to be somebody that, if they were an instant champion, you wouldn't be mad about. Another promotion brought in Brian Cage and insert them to a tie picture. And just like, yeah, it makes sense. So when I think about that, I'm like, it's got to be somebody big. It's got to be somebody that has a big fan base, somebody that legit can wrestle, that looks good as a champion, maybe didn't have a prior championship opportunity. I don't know. Maybe somebody from Bulgaria. I don't know. Possibly.
Ooh, that's some bold prediction, you know? I mean, granted, you didn't say any names, you know, it's still like just hypothetically, like possibly, but you know, if you are saying what I think you're saying and alluding to who I think you're alluding to, oh, absolutely would that flip this match on its head and turn it inside out, and it would be a whole new ball game in professional wrestling, not just an Impact, a whole new ball game in pro wrestling.
Well, that's my review, or that's my last thoughts for this review for this week. Do you have any other things that you feel like we didn't cover, or anything you want to share as well before we get out of here?
I mean, no, just to echo a lot of what we were talking about with the women's, the Knockouts Gauntlet match, you know, all the dynamics that they're playing right now with all these tag teams, it's going to be really interesting to see how those dynamics play in the Gauntlet match. And you talked about Rosemary. She hasn't faced a lot of people on the current roster now. The Gauntlet match could be a perfect way for us to see that as well. So it is truly one of the big highlights that I am really excited for going into Slammiversary. And we're still 19 nights away, so who knows what other news.
You're right. You're right. We got a long time to go before we
know what's going to change between now and then. But you know what? I do feel like I have the confidence and Impact that they are truly rolling with the punches. So whatever changes that are happening, they seem to be working with them. And if anything, it's leading. This road to Slammiversary is probably the most anticipated in history.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, guys, we have 2 more weeks of reviews before Slammiversary. So if we count that up, plus the added days from Wednesday to Saturday, that equals 19 nights. don't keep up with the math, folks. Yes, we do got a long time, 2 more weeks before we actually get to that night. So it's who knows how news is dropped in the middle of the night. Transactions and signings, who knows what it may be, but as you said, it's going to be one of the most anticipated nights in all of professional wrestling. We look forward to it. We'll definitely be covering it, so stay tuned for that as well. But as always, everybody's showing support and love. Thank you so much each and every week for listening and interacting, and we'll be back next week. So Stay tuned, and until then, be safe, everybody.